Hey guys, I've played another exciting game today, which was almost identical to the game between Alireza Firouzja and Gukesh the Maraju, World Chess Champion. The endgame was exactly the same. This is crazy. How high would the probability be? Like it's like a glitch in the matrix, and the game was very instructive. If the same endgame happened between Alireza and Gukesh, then you might guess that this is an important type of endgame. So let's dive into this. Today I was playing round 7 at the Asian Chess Championship in the United Arab Emirates. And I was playing against a strong international master from Kyrgyzstan, who is multiple times Kyrgyzstan chess champion, played at the Chess Olympiad many times. Also, he played at the World Cup. So a strong player, an experienced one. He's like in his mid-30s, a bit older than me. And I prepared for him, but he plays everything. So I briefly checked that he plays like lots of different openings, and he went for d4, which was kind of a surprise because recently he has been playing e4 more often, but he probably wanted to surprise me, so he went d4, and I checked that he plays the 4 pawns attack sometimes against the King's Indian, which I play. So I was prepared for it, but he also plays like 5 different setups against King's Indian, so I could not check like very deeply all of them. So I briefly checked the 4 pawns before playing. The 4 pawns attack is this: so F, E, F pawn, E pawn, D pawn, and C pawn. They are all advanced. It's a risky setup because black can challenge these advancements of the pawns. So you should know what you are doing if you're playing this with white, but it gives an interesting fight always. So I prepared c5 here, d5, then castles, then the main line which he went for is knight f3, e6. It's very important to undermine these pawns because if they remain unchallenged here in the center of the board, then white is dominating. So I have to undermine the pawn chain. Here he took back. This was still in my files. And knight bd7. It's very important to go here. There is a move rook e8, but then e5 is a very, very powerful pawn sacrifice for white, which is why knight d7 first is more precise, because yes, there is e5 even now, but it's not as powerful. Black is better in this case. So this prevents this idea, because the rook on f8, when e5 and e6 comes, the rook on f8 is more important, is better placed than on e8. So these are some subtleties. I remembered it from my files. So he went castles, and I went rook e8 now, attacking this pawn. He went queen c2. This is all theories. This is all very standard. And here I went a6. I remembered that this should be the move. And he went a4, and this is where my knowledge ended. I had something in my files, I just didn't remember what. I remembered that in some variations black even sacrifices this pawn with c4. Actually, it's one of the moves that's possible. I remembered that in other variations black plays for b5 b4 with rook b8 supporting this pawn. And I decided to go rook b8, which is not very precise. So it turns out first I should have gone queen c7, then c4, and then rook b8 and b5. So I a little bit misplayed this position, but he also did not know the best response to rook b8 because it's not the theoretical move, it's not the most precise one. The most precise move for white here is king h1, surprisingly. Don't ask me why, the engines are very clever and subtle. But he responded with a human approach, a5. But here I have b5 still nonetheless. He can take en passant, which he did. But then I take back with the queen, and I have this b file, and I have some counterplay. And also his center is very volatile, so he has to stay guarding the e4 pawn with his queen and knight, because my knight and rook are attacking it. I'm putting pressure on the b file, and I was feeling optimistic about my position. Here he went king h1, sidestepping, and after some think, I decided, it was a long think because I considered many possibilities. I decided to go queen b3, which is actually approved by the engine, best move. Trading the queens in this position is good because now I've removed one of the defenders of e4. Now e4 is hanging again. Well, actually, it's not strictly speaking hanging now, because if, like, let's say king g1 happens, if I take, he has this fork knight d2. But actually no, I'll take here, and he will be up material, but I will have great compensation. So it is hanging after all. So this is my idea. I'm attacking e4. But here, instead of going king g1, which is a nonsensical move, nonsensical move, he went knight d2. He attacked my rook and defended this pawn. But here's where the fun stuff happened. I was thinking like I need to be aggressive in this game. If I just wait, if I just drop back, rook b6 is not good. Knight c4 will attack my rook and this pawn, and I will be worse. Then I thought rook b4 is a move, of course. I can increase pressure, but two knights defend this, so I cannot take. And he will just take my pawn. And the engine says it's all right. I can just go knight b6 and I'm down a pawn, but I have compensation. And it's 0.0. It's equal, according to the engine. But humanly speaking, even my coach, Grandmaster Farukh Amanatov, after looking at this game, said, yeah, I would not have gone for this. Same as me, he said that most likely I would sacrifice the exchange. And I sacked the rook for the knight and pawn. I decided I will have great compensation, and I took on d5. So now if he takes here, I'll take on e2, and the engine approves of it, saying that black has equalized because black has a bishop and a pawn for a rook, but also this bishop is a monster. This is hanging, and this rook is strong. This bishop is stuck here, and yeah, black has great position. But of course, white is not obliged to take this knight, to trade the bishop for the knight. White can take on a6. And I calculated that I'll take on c3, which I did, but then he has this. And once I take, I thought that I still have some compensation, but the engine is merciless. The engine says that white is just much better, +1. So even though I have a knight and a pawn for a rook, so I'm technically just down one pawn, but I have this passed pawn, so I thought I have some activity. This bishop is very strong. His pieces are not developed. They are all on the back rank. But I'm stupid. Turns out the engine says that no compensation. Initially, I thought that he will go something like rook a6, and I thought I'll push c4. I can even give up this pawn, and I thought that I will have a great position. For example, if he takes, I jump with knight c5. I'm attacking this pawn twice. And if he, for example, tries to defend it, then I can jump knight d3. And yes, this variation is already like equal. But he doesn't have to do all this. He doesn't have to go rook a6. He can move it one step further, rook a7. And he has a significant advantage because my knight is hanging. And initially from afar, I did not see this move, unfortunately. Once I saw it, I started thinking. I thought for some 20 minutes. And I didn't like rook d8 because the rook is passive here, doing nothing. I didn't like... what else did I consider? Knight b6 is bad because he will just harass my knight, and my knight will have to go on the rim, which is not a good idea. What else can I do? I thought knight f6 could work. I realized he'll go e5, and I spent a lot of time calculating variation takes, knight g4. I'm threatening to take on e5, but he has this. Now his rooks are doubled here, but I can take here. And now I thought I might be able to checkmate him because his king is very vulnerable and I have many pieces surrounding him. For example, if he just falls asleep at the wheel, if he goes rook takes h7, then I have knight e2. And not only is it attacking the bishop, but it's also threatening checkmate in one with knight f2. For example, if the bishop moves somewhere, knight f2 is a beautiful checkmate using two knights. The king has no squares. But of course, I realized that he is not obliged to take this h7 pawn. He can just go h3 or knight f3, and I have no checkmates. And he has menacing rooks on the 7th, and I thought that this is practically close to losing. And I decided against going for this variation, which is why I did not go knight f6. Also, I thought that I'm not obliged to take here and open up his rook. But if I don't take, if I go, for example, like knight d5, then he'll take here, and his pawn will be very dangerous, and I didn't like this as well. So this is why I did not go knight f6, and at the end of the day I decided to go knight b8, which looks ugly, but I have a concrete plan. Now if he goes e5, for example, I have knight c6, attacking the rook and this pawn, and once he moves I can take twice, and the knight is protecting f7, and I'm close to equalizing. So this is one of the ideas. Also, I just want to reroute, like if he doesn't go e5, if he does something else, I want to develop the knight and put it on d4, which is a great square for the knight. So I thought I might have some compensation. I thought that he also can go rook a8, pinning me. I thought this is the most obvious move, and I thought rook f8 and then still knight c6, knight d4 is not that bad, even though white is better. But instead, he found a different idea. Instead of going here, he went bishop b2. And I realized that it's a good move, and actually the engine says it's the best move. I didn't even consider it initially, because this looks scary. I can take the pawn, and then the bishop will be hanging, and the knight will be hanging, but all tactics work out for black. For example, I calculated takes, takes. Now I've won the bishop for the knight, and also I've taken the e4 pawn, but he can take my d6 pawn. I've taken both the rook and f7. And if I go here, he has this, rook b1. And when I drop back, for example, to g7, he can add another rook to the 7th rank, and it's very unpleasant. The engine says that rook b5 is even stronger, just taking this pawn, so who am I to argue with the engine? So yeah, and if after rook b1, bishop d4, then he can even take here. Interesting. And if I take here, he takes here. So the rook is overloaded, guarding both of those pieces. So I didn't like it in this position. Knight e4 doesn't work, really. Then I thought maybe knight b5. I'm attacking the rook and I'm attacking the bishop. And I thought if he drops back, then I will have some like chances. His rook is passive here, and I go knight c6, for example. Maybe later on I'll be able to push this pawn. And the engine agrees that this is a good chance. But then I realized that in this position, after knight b5, attacking the rook and the bishop, he doesn't have to retreat to a2. He can go rook b7, attacking the knight. And if I take, he takes. My bishop has to drop back, for example, to d4, let's say. And he has knight c4. Great square for the knight. This pawn is attacked, and I will lose this pawn, so it's not good. I spent almost all my time calculating all these variations, and I was unhappy about my position. I realized that probably my exchange sacrifice was not the best idea. Turns out I was too aggressive. This is always my problem. But we're coming to the endgame. The endgame is fascinating, guys. So I decided to go knight c6 here, attacking the rook. And once the rook moves, I already took this pawn because I didn't find anything better. And the difference between this variation and the one that I previously showed you is the fact that my knight is already on c. So it used to be on b8, now it's on c6. I've gained a tempo on this rook, and now we have the same variation. He takes, but my knight is better on c6 than it would be here. And here I have rook d8. Because if I go passive, rook f8, then he has again this rook here and rook b7, and I lose everything here. So I decided that passivity is not the answer. I went rook d8, but unfortunately, he can just trade here and still go rook b1. And I realized that I'm in a pickle because I have to go here. He pins me. And now he is threatening to just go knight b7 and win this pinned piece. Put pressure on the pinned piece. This is a rule of thumb. And if I want to sidestep from the pin king g7, then I lose because of this fork, and the bishop will die. So unfortunately, I have to go king f8, trying to reinforce this this knight, but he can just simplify into a winning endgame, which he did. Now this pawn will fall, and rook n3 versus bishop n3 is a technically winning endgame. But I decided to play on, and I created a lot of chances. Let's see. So he takes, go h5. It's useful in such endgames to have this pawn formation preventing g4 advancement. But unfortunately, this is losing. But what he did made it more exciting than it could have been. So he went g3. We are just shuffling the pieces. I'm attacking his rook. He checks me. I go back. He goes here. I go here. I want to keep control of the h4 square. You will see why. So I anticipated the fact that he wants to go f5, which he did, to break my position. And if I do nothing, if I go, like, I have to do something because this is hanging. g6 is hanging. So if I go g5, for example, he'll just go f6, and then he'll walk his king to f5 and take my pawns and win. So this is not good. So I have to take his pawn. But now he will be able to win this pawn of mine. He went king f4. But now I have h4. And once he took, I took with the bishop. And I anticipated this endgame. So he takes my pawn. And we have a bishop, an f-pawn, and a king versus a rook and a pawn, which is exactly the same endgame as Gukesh had today in the tournament in Romania, Super Bad Chess Classic, against Alireza. Alireza was playing with the white pieces, and he had exactly the same position. He had a rook, a king, and an h-pawn against a dark squared bishop and an f-pawn. And this position is sometimes a draw and sometimes a win. Depends on how the pieces are placed. So here I go king e7. This is the one that I got is losing. I will explain why. So he went rook a8, very precise, not allowing me to go here and here. Because if he allows this, if he goes, for example, here, just waits, just lets me go like, I don't know, here, I put the bishop on f6 and it's a draw now. It's a draw, he cannot break through. This was exactly like the position that Gukesh had, but Gukesh managed to squander it and he lost in a drawn endgame because it's tricky. It's tricky and he made a mistake somehow under pressure. He was under pressure the whole game and maybe the nerves got the better of him. So this position is drawn because black can just wait and do nothing and white cannot break through. Let me show you. For example, I just wait, you push the pawn, I just wait, you push the pawn, I just I don't know, wait. Oh no, this is losing already. h6. I have to go bishop e3 to control h6, and then I just wait because the king cannot support the march of the pawn for white, and black is controlling this h6 square, and black can just shuffle the bishop, and the only thing, the important thing is that you have to keep control of this square. But we got this position, and it's a different one, because the rook did not allow me to go with the king to that square. Still, I'm trying to play on. I think I have some practical chances here. He goes h3, I go bishop e1. I don't want to allow him to go h4. I want him to go back here to support h4, and then I will be able to march with my king to safety and make a draw. He goes rook g8. He does not want me to go with my king to the desired position. I go bishop f2, still keep in touch with this. He goes rook g2. Now it's important not to blunder into a fork. Rook e2 would be a fork with a check and win the bishop, so I go bishop h4 here. Now he goes rook g4, very good technique. I have to go here, only move. And by the way, this also will lose very fast because rook e4, and then he'll take my bishop next move. So only move here is bishop f2, which I do. And now he is able to push h4. And my king is not able to get into the g7 square, which was necessary. So he doesn't leave me this opportunity. I go king f8, still try, and maybe if he leaves with his rook, then I go here and put my bishop here, and it's going to be a draw if he allows it. But he goes king f6. Now I go bishop e1. I'm waiting, keeping touch with this pawn. Also, I want to check him like this, and because this king is annoying. If he puts the rook on the ace rank, it will be checkmate. So I need to remove somehow this opposition of the kings. He goes rook c4. He's threatening mate in 1. I have to go here to sidestep. Now he goes h5. He pushes the pawn. Unfortunately, here bishop d2 doesn't work, stopping the h6 advancement. Well, you will see why it doesn't work. So after h5, I went king h7 because I will in any case lose this pawn. So let me lose it, and now he can take it, but first he goes rook c8, because if he takes here, I will be able to go here, and this will create some problems for him. It's still winning, but you have to be very precise, because I will go here, and next I will go here. It's still winning, by the way. This is what happened in a game between Alireza and Gukesh. It's still winning, because this endgame is still winning because the king needs to be in the square opposite to the color of the bishop to make a draw against king and rook. These are endgame subtleties, and I'm unable to get into this square. So this is losing because oh, not this move, obviously. This is the move, and then this is the idea: attacking the bishop and threatening checkmate at the same time. And once the bishop goes here, then we make a waiting move, and black has to move the king and lose the bishop. So this is the technique that Alireza, by the way, demonstrated against Gukesh today. So this could have happened if he allowed me, like if he took here and allowed me to take this pawn. But he need not allow this, of course. Instead, now he went to rook c8, and if I go here, I'll just get checkmated, so I cannot do this. Instead, I go bishop f2. Now he takes my pawn. Now again, if I go here, then rook h8 will come, and the pawn will march and queen. So I wait, I go bishop d4, trying to create some kind of a fortress. He goes here. I remain with the bishop on this long diagonal, trying to wait. But he found the winning idea very, very easily. He marches with his king to his pawn. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I want him to go here because then I'll be able to check him. And I thought that this could give me some chances, but it's still losing, even if I achieve this, unfortunately. But he is not giving me this check. He goes h6. And the difference between this position and the one with Gukesh and Alireza is the fact that he's able to put his king on h5, and now next he'll just check me on the 7th rank, and once I go to the 8th rank, he'll go king g6 and threaten checkmate, and it will be an easy peasy win for white. So I go here, I wait, he checks me, he goes here, and I could have resigned here, but I waited a little bit. And here there could have been a funny stalemate, h6, h7 check here, and this is a blunder because this is a stalemate, black has no moves. But of course he does not blunder into this, he just goes rook c8. And here I resign the game because my only move is here, and this is a checkmate. So a very instructive endgame. I hope you learned a lot. I'm on 2.5 out of 7 points in this tournament, but this is the strongest tournament in my life. I played during this tournament only Grandmasters, International Masters, and FIDE Masters. And I've up to this point gained around 30 rating points, even despite like losing more games than winning. So I'm pretty happy about it. I hope I can score some more wins in the remaining 2 games. Please write your comments, your opinion in the comments, and see you in the next one.